I'm Joe Wren. Well, with just days left in the legislative session, supporters of a bill covering hate crimes are still hopeful for a law to protect all citizens from crimes motivated by hate. It's an issue which has drawn support for years but never passed. It did receive some traction in the legislature this year, but last week lawmakers ended the discussion saying they were too busy this session to call up a bill that would cover hate crimes. As J.D. Gray reports, when crimes motivated by hate occur, many are left wondering why Indiana doesn't prosecute them like the majority of state in the U.S.
The headquarters of the Islam Society of North America are usually home to community events and religious ceremonies. The goal of the group is to serve Muslims living in North America and foster strong interfaith relationships in the continent. But over the weekend, the headquarters were violated.
At 6:50 in the morning on Sunday, vandals spray-painted vulgarities and slurs on the front wall of the Islamic Society of North America.
Community members gathered on Monday afternoon. Instead of focusing on the negative aspects of the vandalism, ISNA leaders framed the event in a positive light as an opportunity to bring together those from different religious backgrounds in support of each other.
So while our mosque may have been vandalized and spray painted by 3 young men, our community was reached out to and supported by hundreds of our fellow Americans and interfaith partners.
Among those showing support for the ISNA was a representative of Congressman Andre Carson, who read a statement the congressman prepared.
Hate crimes attack both individual victims and entire communities. They are meant to isolate and terrorize. Whether it's a bomb threat on a mosque, a child bullied on a bus, or a slur painted on a building, hate is hate.
But Indiana is one of only 5 states in the country without a hate crimes law. Legislation was proposed this year that could have increased the length of the sentences for hate crimes, but after receiving much support in the Senate, the bill isn't going to get a hearing in the House. ISNA Secretary General Hazam Bada says he wants to see hate crime legislation put in place.
That kind of act sends a signal to every Muslim in Indianapolis that you are not wanted and you are not safe. That's what makes hate crimes so dangerous. It's not a crime against an individual, it's a crime against an entire community.
The racial slurs and vulgar images have since been removed from the walls of the ISNA headquarters. For Indiana News Desk, I'm J.D. Gray.
The FBI have opened an investigation into the incident. There have been several other recent hate-related crimes across the state. A suspect attacked an 18-year-old Chinese exchange student at Brown County High School last month with a hatchet. He told police he was a white supremacist motivated by ethnic cleansing. And last October, an Indiana University student attacked a Muslim woman outside a cafe in Bloomington. Joining us now is Janine Bell. She's a faculty member at the Maurer School of Law at IU and a scholar of policing and hate crime. And she joins us now to discuss potential hate crime laws. Thank you very much for being here today. We just mentioned a few of those cases in Indiana that have drawn a lot of attention. How could hate crime legislation affect these trials or charges associated with them?
The proposed legislation is a penalty enhancer, meaning that the perpetrators, if they are convicted, would receive additional sentence if the law is applied.
Now, we've seen lawmakers in support of a lot of these, but they're not making it to the governor's desk. Why?
It's not really clear. There are individuals who oppose hate crime legislation for a variety of reasons, including First Amendment challenges. Those challenges are not consistent with the Supreme Court case law in the area.
Just in general, what are some of those effects of not having hate crime laws here in Indiana?
If you commit a hate crime in Indiana currently without a hate crime law, that means that you cannot be punished in a way that actually fits the crime. Hate crimes are very traumatizing to victims, and without some sort of additional sentence that you can be charged with, then you'll be sentenced under the general criminal law, which is not really sufficient in hate crime cases.
Now, there are two sides of the situation, though. Are there anything that you would say argument against passing legislation, hate crime legislation?
I can't think of a really compelling argument against passing hate crime legislation. Hate crime legislation protects everyone. Anyone who has a race, that is, anyone is protected under a statute that addresses crimes committed against race, religion, sexual orientation, all sorts of other categories protect every single individual in society.
Thank you very much for being here today. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.